Look at this, an aircraft carrier in World of Warships Legends, and it's not a test. It's back, and it's here to stay. It's the Tier 5 Ranger. You can also get the Tier 3 Langley and the Tier 7 Lexington on the American side, and today I thought we would go over the Tier 5 Ranger. Let's look at the commander. It's Ernest King. His base trait is I come prepared. It improves your ship's AA armament range. First inspiration is Yamaguchi. He increases your ship's AA armament damage. So between the two, you're getting the most out of your AA. As for the secondary inspiration, I selected Franz von Hipper to increase the secondary range and shell grouping of the secondary battery. So this is really your only defense if the enemy starts getting close to you and starts taking you out with either shells or torpedoes. Secondary is really all that you have unless you can get back and try to start dive bombing or torpedoing everybody, which is not really that great of a proposal. As for skills, the first skill is swatting with flies. It increases the damage of your aircraft carrier's AA armament again. The second skill is stronghold. It reduces damage to your aircraft carrier. The third skill is out of sight. It improves the concealment and maximum HP of your dive bombers. And this is the health of the dive bombers, not the amount of damage that is inflicted on a dive bomb hit. Down here, though, it Burn Baby Burn increases the damage and the fire setting chances of your plane's HE bombs. So this does affect the amount of bomb damage. So, damage from bombs and torpedoes in the test was not really all that great. And any advantage you can get as far as that goes is always something you want to look to configure. As far as legendary skills, I've selected Death from Above just to try it out. It increases your dive bomber's speed and it reduces the damage to your aircraft carrier, which sounds like a good thing, but it's only for as long as you're in the proximity of an ally, and that rarely happens in standard. Most of your teammates take off. I will note that Yamaguchi's legendary trait here says that it reduces the damage to your aircraft carrier for as long as you're in the proximity of an enemy, which is, I think, what you want, and I'm kind of hoping that this is a typo, but it may not be. So let's look at the upgrades for the Ranger. First upgrade is Flight Control Mod 1. Aircraft preparation rate is reduced by 15%. Air Groups Mod 2, Dive Bomber HP and Torpedo Bomber HP is increased by 3%. This is basically the health of your squadron. And I've got the rest of the default upgrades here. The Ranger Hull B, which increases the hit points of the ship. The Douglas Devastator Torpedo Bombers. You definitely want to get these upgrades, otherwise you're going to end up with biplanes. And the last one is the Vought Vindicator Dive Bomber. We'll take a look at their specs later. Let's look at the loadout. You can see that there's the usual engine cooling consumable on each of the squadrons for the dive bombers and the torpedoes, but you also have a new consumable, which is patrol fighters, and once you release the squadrons, they will patrol the area and automatically attack enemy aircraft for about a minute. It takes 10 seconds for a reload time, and you have 3 of them per squadron. As for the regular consumables on the Ranger, it has 4 fighter auto consumables, and they will follow the ship and automatically attack enemy aircraft. It activates automatically whenever your aircraft carrier is spotted by an enemy. As for the camouflage, I have the Sci-Fi Space Camo, and I got this in the Stellar Clash. I've got it maxed out to sea detectability and incoming fire dispersion of 4.5%. I also have the Stellar Clash participation flag, and I decided to run this the camo and the flag on all of my American carriers. As far as the stats, the survivability is 44,900 hit points. So let's take a look at the torpedo bombers. The hit points for the squadron is 2,523. The maximum speed is 140 knots. The attack unit size is the important part, though. It's 2, and aircraft per squadron is 6, so you can get 3 attacks per squadron. Let's look at the damage for the torpedoes. Maximum torpedo damage is 6,033. Torpedo speed is 38 knots. And I think both of those items are lower than their Japanese counterparts. So I think the Japanese have a higher torpedo damage and a higher torpedo speed. So you want to keep that in mind. Torpedo range is 3.5 kilometers. As far as the dive bombers, hit points for the squadron is 2,990. Maximum speed is 145 knots. Attack unit size is again 2. Aircraft per squadron is 6. And as far as the bombs go, the maximum bomb damage is 15,656. So I don't think I've ever gotten anything close to 15,000 hit point damage on a single bomb. So I'm wondering if this is for the entire squadron or for a single bomb. So I guess we'll have to look at that. Fire setting chances is 58%, which is pretty good. As far as the armor for the ship, you can see that the armor thickness is between 15 millimeters and looks like 26 millimeters on top. You see a little bit over by the bridge, looks like 34 to 75 millimeters. Let's reduce the armor, take a look at the Citadel. And you can see the Citadel sits way above the water in the back here, so you've got to be mindful of that. These ships are capable of being citadeled pretty easily. I've gotten several Citadel hits when I've been playing as a destroyer or cruiser or battleship, so you want to watch out for that. As far as the overview, tough aircraft. The aircraft have above average HP pool, powerful AA defenses, above average AA gun firepower. The aircraft are slow though, and they do have a below average speed. The Ranger is the first aircraft carrier of a special construction. The ship carried a large air group, and the carrier's speed was quite high for her type. Her drawbacks included a lack of torpedo protection and impractical arrangement of aircraft elevators, which slowed down the handling of the air groups. And she entered service in 1934, and there was one ship in the series. And there you have it for the configuration of the commander and the ship. So let's take it out in a standard battle and check out some highlights. Alright, we're in standard, we're in shards. I'm looking around to kind of figure out where I want to move the ship in autopilot, and that's a new feature here with these aircraft carriers. You get to move the ship around with autopilot. You do that by hitting the space bar in the center of your PlayStation controller, and it brings up this map. So you move the highlighted box around with your D-pad or the joysticks, and once you select where you want to go, you hit the square button, and the autopilot gets set just like that. So once the match starts, the aircraft carrier will start moving around. I'm going to take off in torpedo bombers, and we're just going to go out here and see if we can find some targets. Later on in the match, I will move the aircraft carrier up to this island right here in front of us. But for now, we're going to go look for some targets. I will mention that the Ranger was CV number 4. That was the serial number. It was the 4th aircraft carrier in the American fleet. It's a tier 5 in the game. The Lexington is a tier 7 at the game, but it was CV number 2. It was a 2nd aircraft carrier in the U.S. Navy. I'm not sure why they did that, but that's what we got. And so now I'm just going to go and take a look at these battleships over here and I see the Fuso, see the Frederick, I see the Nagato, and generally I try to go for the slower ship, but I think, I think I'm just going to go for the Nagato. I'm going to try to aim well in front of him, because that's the big thing here with these aircraft carriers and these torpedo dive bombers is you really have to aim farther ahead of the ship than you would actually think. I think the ship ends up turning away because I don't really get a hit. You can see that the rest of my squadron is getting blown out of the sky by the AA, which is kind of a problem. This is kind of how the game goes most of the time, is you don't even really get to make more than one run sometimes. So go back to the aircraft carrier and you take off again. I'm still selecting torpedo dive bombers. That's generally how I start out my matches. Not really sure why, that's just the way it is. It's the default selection when you start the match. So I'm starting with the torpedoes, and you just go back over to where you were. That's what I was doing. And this is, rinse and repeat kind of. You just have to do this over and over again, and hopefully once you move the aircraft carrier up, it will be less time to get to target. But you can see the consumable over here next to the temperature gauge, which I just activated. Those are the fighter planes. We've got 3 consumables. They're the fighter plane with the walkie-talkie, and they will deploy fighter cover wherever you drop them. However, in this match, I'm kind of think I didn't use them because I was so focused on trying to get torpedo hits or dive bomber hits on the battleships here. So I'm going to take a look. There's the Nagato. I'm going to take a look over here at this Fuso, and I'm going to do a dive bomb torpedo attack. And you can see that he really should turn toward me and minimize the angle, but it kind of seems like he doesn't, because next thing you know, going to end up with a torpedo hit right there, 2 of them. So he really didn't move. And what I found is after you make your run, whichever way that you come out of the dive and meet back up with your group, you want to look to see if there's a ship kind of in the area in front of you without having to move around, and you just go and take another dive bomb run at them, and it seems to flow better that way. So now I'm in the bomber. I switched to HE bombs, so we're going to do some dive bombing. And we got 2 torpedo hits at 8,600 damage, which, the torpedoes are supposed to be 6,000 maximum damage, and I guess 4,000 apiece is an average on that, a little higher than average. You can see I'm resetting the waypoint, and I'm moving the aircraft carrier to that island that I mentioned earlier. So we're just going to go back here and start dive bombing the you-know-what out of these battleships. I'm scrolling around to see if I see any ships coming up on my position, because that would be another reason that I would want to move the aircraft carrier. But for now, I'm just going to basically try to go back to where I was. There's a New Mexico over there. I don't see the other ships, but I do now have an eye on this New Mexico. So a lot of this kind of reminds me of the movie Midway, where a lot of the first runs with the airplanes would get destroyed, and later on in the battle is when you start making your damage up. And so this looks like a great angle on this New Mexico, and you can see I was a little bit over to the left, but I still got a hit and a fire, but it was only like 600 damage, which is kind of, that's not really great. So bombs that are supposed to get 15,000 damage only gave me 600. So, like I said earlier, I never have seen 15,000 damage on one bomb hit before. So here we go again. That kind of looked like it should have been a hit, but it wasn't. So I'm going to try to come back around, and it's really easy to come back around on the dive bombers. And what you want to do is try to lead the target kind of like throwing a football or something like that. If you're a quarterback, you want to guess where the target's going to be, and that's what this little reticle is right here. When you get to a point where you think the ship is going to be, when you want to release the bombs, that's when you hit the R2 button on the PlayStation controller. Then as you're making your dive bomb run, you'll see the reticle turn green, and once the target is in the proper position in the crosshairs is when you hit the R2 button again, and that will release the bombs. So I don't necessarily have to be straight on like this, but this looks like a great opportunity right here. This looks like this should be some massive damage, and sure enough, it's 2 bomb hits, and we're up to 19,000. So we're starting to do a little bit better, but 3 bomb hits, 2 torpedo hits, only 19,000. It's really not great. But we're going to take another run at this guy, and again, another great target, but it looks like the bombs went off the side, and it looked like it really should have been a hit. So, I guess eventually you get used to how you're supposed to target this guy, but you can see that the health on the New Mexico is getting kind of down there, and I am at this point thinking about getting a kill. So here I got another hit and a fire. So it was 19,000, now it's 23,000 and climbing. Here you can see this island where I ended up, and this is cool because I don't think that would happen in real life, but you go with it in the game, and each subsequent launch of the dive bombers is going to be going straight up that mountain, that island. I kind of hope that they don't fix that because it's kind of a cool feature. You can see this fire, though, is starting to cause some massive damage on the New Mexico. He's up to 27,000 damage. And we're going to look for some more hits. And there's where I estimate I want to let it go, and missed. So, you can see that it doesn't really always work the way that I said, where at first I think I want to estimate that that's where I want to release my bombs, but it turned green a lot earlier. So here this will kind of work more how I'm expecting, but still have to get used to the reticle, the targeting reticle. You can see I'm basically beached on this island with the Ranger, and I'm just like going up the Matterhorn here. And this would not happen in real life, obviously, but I'm looking at it like it's a feature of the game. So we're up to 33,000 damage, 7 bomb hits, 2 torpedo hits, 2 fires. Going to go back over here and take another run at this guy. And, here we go again. This looks like it's going to be 2 hits. It looks like it's at least 1. Didn't get anything, though. And you would think by now that this New Mexico would see where these airplanes are coming from and go over there and get the aircraft carrier, but he doesn't. So I can't complain about that. It's good for me. So here's a hit and a fire. Okay, so we're starting to get some more damage again. We're up to 38,000. We're going over to take another hit. We have 1 aircraft left. And that's another hit. So now we're up to 42,000. And you can see I've got 5 more bombers here. So the configuration in, one of the ship upgrades to increase the regeneration rate of these aircraft, I think, is really necessary, because when you come back, you really want to have the aircraft ready. And I have tried some matches with the configuration set for the other option, and aircraft was not ready when I would want. So by coming back here and setting the option for aircraft regeneration. I think it was upgrade slot 1. You are getting aircraft back as often as you would want. And there's another miss, but I'm up to 42,200. Going to come back around and take another run at them. That should be in the highlight reel. Okay, there's a hit. But that was only 3,000 damage. So the 15,000 maximum damage for these bombs is not really, you know, like I said, it's not something I've ever seen. And we do have another flight of 6 aircraft, so it's good that the regeneration rate is working like we want. Going to come back here and get this guy. Looks good. Miss. Yeah, that's how it goes most of the time. They look good and then they miss. But I'm going to come back around and try again. That was a hit. 47,000. So again, you can see it's far less than 15,000 maximum damage here. I would think sometimes you get maximum damage out of 9 bomb hits. So there we are, 10 bomb hits, 2 torpedo hits, and only 50,000 damage. So you can see up here when we come around how little health is left on the New Mexico. And at this point I'm kind of afraid that this battleship over here is going to steal the kill. So maybe he's focused on the battleship behind him over there. But I'm starting to get stressed because I really want to get this kill on this New Mexico. I've worked pretty hard to get this far, and he's almost gone, and I would like to get the kill. Right, so that looks pretty good, and nothing. I really thought that was a hit. Gonna come back around. And yeah, the guy is just a sliver. This looks like it's going to be good. There you go. Awesome. Got the another bomb hit. Got the kill. So 11 bomb hits, 2 torpedo hits, 1 kill, 4 fires, only 50,000 damage, which I think is well, it's a little low. But now I'm going to look around for the other battleship here. You see there's only 30 seconds left in the match. So this, I kind of feel, was a lot of work for only 50,000 damage. And 50,000 in standard is actually one of the higher points, higher damage games that I've had. In any aircraft carrier, you know, I'm going to come up here on this battleship, but I don't think the match is going to last that long. I think it's going to time out before I can get to him. Battle ended. Victory. 100,000 credits, 50,000 damage, 7,500 Commander XP. You can see I finished in 7th place for all that work. I did make 80,000 credits though, but you know, 7th place, I guess it's kind of well known that the aircraft carriers are not going to really get high up on the leaderboard, so it is what it is. But I do have fun playing the aircraft carriers, I can tell you that much, and I'm going to look forward to getting more experience with all 3 of the American aircraft carriers and the 3 Japanese carriers. This is the Jaguar, and I'll see you on the high seas. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe if you like it.